There have been many great mousepads that have released this year in 2024, and I just want to break down my favorite list of the top few mousepads that have released this year. Many of these I will strongly recommend, and I do have full videos on all of these except the Hyperion, which I will be releasing a review video on this pad very soon. But all of these other pads I do have full reviews for, which I will have linked down in the description below alongside a link to buy the mousepad itself. This video isn't in any particular order, even though the last few pads, as 3-ish pads, are my top favorite of this year. Starting off this list is the Hyperion from the collab between Lethal Gaming Gear and Pulsar. I find that this pad really shined in a spot that other pads couldn't. This pad basically takes the surface of a Saturn Pro and combines it with the speed of something like either a Zero or a Samurai. It creates a very smooth and textureless surface that does work very well with sleeves, which the Zero does not do at all. And it makes a very enjoyable experience to play tracking games or target switching games when you do want that little bit more control aspect. This is a very good balance pad, and it does come in many different firmnesses. Right here I do have the soft variant, and there is the X soft as well as the firm variant for this pad. The stitching on this pad, like all of Lethal Gaming Gear's pads, are very good, and the surface is extremely high quality. Very dense stitching that makes it really smooth and really effortless. There is no X and Y difference that I can tell on this pad, and the texture, especially with jade dots, which I do have and mostly use on this pad, I don't find that I pick up any of the texture on this pad, and it's very smooth. Overall, for a commonly readily available balanced mousepad, this is my go-to recommendation. You really can't get a better balanced mousepad for this, especially available in the US. Next on my list is a pad you can't really buy anymore. I wish you could, because this is a very good mousepad. This is the Artisan Shidenkai, and it is the fastest Artisan mousepad that has glass beads embedded in the surface. This does create a very uniform and very smooth motion, but many people were having surface issues and sensor issues with different mouse gates and different firmnesses, so I'm guessing that is probably one of the reasons why they discontinued this pad. This pad feels amazing to play on. This mousepad does have a lot of the cloth abilities of a very fast mousepad. It is soft, so it's definitely not as hard as normal glass. It doesn't get as cold as normal glass, and if you want to push into the surface to get that little bit more control and a slight sink-in feeling, even on the mid variant like I have, you can still do so. However, like a glass pad, it is extremely fast, extremely consistent, and doesn't catch on any sleeves and has basically no texture at all. This pad is also very easy to clean. All you have to do is wipe it off. Nothing really gets stuck to the surface. However, you do have like water droplets. I do find that those you do see on the pad itself, especially on this yellow variant, but definitely you don't feel it at all when moving your mouse over it. Next up, I do want to talk about the best Raiden clone that is readily available on the market right now. This is the Neptune Pro from Lethal Gaming Gear, and this is an amazing mousepad overall. It's definitely not as fast as something like the Raiden, but I do feel like the surface properties, especially with the texture and the overall feel, is as close to a Raiden as I've been able to get. It is very smooth to the touch, as well as very smooth on basically any mouse gate that I've tried on this. I find that it excels with very fast dot skates like Jade's, since it has absolutely no surface texture and is a very quick and consistent glide. It has the properties of basically every other Lethal Gaming Gear pad, having all of its good quality control and very low surface stitching. However, one thing that I do have to nitpick is the base being used on this. It is an alpha cell coated base on top of a pull-on base, which makes it not really the best when it comes to sticking to your desk. However, if you do put a little bit of water, that does solve the issue pretty quickly. And other than that, this is a fantastic pad, and it's a fantastic speed pad that I will most definitely recommend. Next up is a really high quality balanced mousepad that I've really enjoyed putting my time on this year. This is the Crucible from Padsmith, and it has one of the most unique surface feels and surface properties that I've ever tried on any mousepad. It is definitely balanced. You definitely can feel it when gliding your mouse over it, but the texture and the way this pad feels in game is completely different from any pad I've been able to try. The weave on this pad is super unique, so there is that little bit of texture when you are moving your mouse across the pad, and you can most definitely feel it when you are playing games. But I find that this texture is really enjoyable to play on, unlike some other mouse pads that you do feel the texture of. It also does kind of catch on sleeves, but it's not completely unusable, and it's definitely really enjoyable even with a sleeve to play on this pad. Unfortunately, you can't get this pad anymore. However, the Crucible V2 did release recently from Padsmith, so definitely do check that out, and I've heard amazing things personally from it, even though I haven't tried it myself. Now talking about the best balanced mouse pad that's ever existed that I've tried, and that what other people say is the best balance pad that's ever came out. This is the Samurai from Kurosun. This mouse pad is absolutely fantastic. Both the way it feels, the way it looks, the way it plays, everything about this is fantastic. It's a definition of balanced, being really in the middle between speed and control, as you do get those harsh dynamic and static properties that you are expecting from a balance pad. And the surface also being very softly textured makes it very enjoyable to play on. It is really soft when gliding your mouse skates over it, so you don't feel the texture. However, when you are using your bare hand or your palm on this pad, you can definitely feel that softness, and it is a very comfortable pad to play on. The stitching and base on this pad is also fantastic. I don't find that this pad moves at all. And it is also dense enough that if I am applying that little bit of pressure, I don't sink directly into the pad. But if I do want to get that stability by pressing in, I can definitely do so and get even more control from this pad. It is absolutely fantastic, and if you do have the opportunity to pick up this pad secondhand, I will most definitely recommend you do so. They are releasing, from what I've heard, a Samurai V2 or V1.5 in the summer, so make sure you guys do keep your eyes out when that pad does release. The second to last pad that I really have to give credit to is the Wallhack SP004. This pad redefined what we knew as speed when it came to glass pads. Releasing in March of early last year, this pad really shook up the market when it came to glass pads, showing what a new, very fast and very smooth surface could do to people's aim and how enjoyable it was to play on. This pad basically took everything that the 3.0 was bad at and made it even better, and took all the good properties from the 3.0 and excelled it even further. This was at its time its smoothest and fastest glass pad, and was my go-to recommendation, and it's still my go-to recommendation when people are looking for a readily available glass pad to try that is absolutely fantastic, has very few flaws, and is overall just an amazing experience. It does not grind down skates like some other glass pads do. It's incredibly consistent and overall works fantastic with sleeves. If you do have the opportunity and the money to check out this pad, most definitely I would recommend it. As to my number one pick this year in terms of my favorite glass pad, to no surprise to any that know me or watch me on a regular basis, the Beast by Tekkusai is the best mousepad I've ever used, hands down. It is the fastest glass pad that's came out, and I've tested that myself in terms of a Newton force meter as well as using static friction properties, and it is just incredibly amazing. It is very slightly textured, which makes micro adjustments on this feel absolutely amazing, since you do feel that knit and grit when doing those micro movements. But doing those big tracking arcs, there is hardly any texture if you aren't really paying attention. This pad also not catching on sleeves or hoodies is also amazing, so I don't have to bring out my gaming sleeve whenever I just want to browse my computer, scroll on Twitter or whatever, and I can just use my hoodie sleeve and it doesn't catch like it does on some other glass pads. Being this fast also accelerated my aim even further than what the SP004 can do. It is so fast that any micro movements that you do or any errors in your aim really get accelerated, and this is, in my eyes, my endgame mousepad when it comes to speed as of right now. This mousepad for me has been unbeaten by all the 30 plus pads that I've tried this year. I can't wait to see what the peripheral market will produce in 2025 when it comes to the quality of mousepads, the speed of the mousepads, and the availability of pads. If you guys do want to see a full roundup of my favorite mice from 2024, I will have that link down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, peace.